All right, Robbie, so we're doing a power steering pump on this truck, and I was thinking of something that a lot of people run into, kind of confuse them a little bit. These pulleys on these power steering pumps are press fit. And I know I've had people ask me, why are they a press fit? And we'll get into that. But first, how you take it off. This kit is a relatively inexpensive set from Harbor Freight. And this is everything you need to do a press fit power steering pump pulley on most American cars. Back in the 60s and 70s, Ford, Chrysler, and General Motors all used a press-on pulley, okay? The reason for the press-on pulley is that you press the pulley on to the new pump kind of with the bolt, with the belt mounted on it loosely, because the reason for that is so that you can get the belt alignment, because the pulley can be mounted onto the pump in numerous locations. The number one rule is you never try to hammer the pulley onto the pump, because you'll break your new pump. It'll break the back of the pump out. So with this set, how this set works, okay, the puller set, you've got this nut with a big washer end. You've got an end that you stick into the tool that pushes against the shaft in the center, all right? And how this goes is you install that part into the pump, okay? And then these, it notches into the pulley, okay? And there's a narrow side and there's a smaller side. The smaller side goes onto the tool, and then you take the sleeve and slide the sleeve over, and it just kind of holds it all together. So to pull the pulley off, you just hold this nut, okay, and then you tighten the tool that pulls the pulley off, all right? So I had already pulled the pulley off. So what I'm working on now is I'm putting it back on so that I have proper belt alignment. So I'll show you how that goes. So take off the puller here. Okay, so those are the puller parts. And then the installer, okay, when you buy the new pump, they give you like a bolt and a nut and a washer, which is really hard to get these things to pull on with their little bolt setup. So with this tool, we thread the installer end. So I already matched up the thread that matches the threads inside the shaft on the pump. And then there's a bearing, okay? And the reason for this bearing is this bearing reduces the amount of friction as we're trying to install the pump. So then we're not, fighting the friction between, the nut, the washer, and the pulley. So the tool threads into the end of the shaft, okay? So the object of what we're doing is the puller is threaded into the shaft, we tighten the big nut, and then the nut pulls the pulley onto the shaft. And like I said, the reason for it being a press fit is so that we get proper belt alignment, because not every car is made the same. We got different engine options and different brackets and adjustment options. So, you're looking that your belt is mounted on the proper plane, okay? Now, one thing I've seen people do that can be a problem is if you try to hold the end of the tool with a wrench and then tighten the nut to install it, it ends up unwinding the tool and it pulls the threads out of the end of the shaft. So you got to be careful when you're installing to only turn the installer nut, and you kind of have to hold the pulley while you're tightening it. So what we're doing here is we're tightening this nut, and as we tighten the nut, it's climbing down the threads of the installer and it's pulling the pulley on. So we're just going to tighten it up and pull the pulley on until we have the belt on the proper alignment for its plane. And that's it. Pretty simple.